Hello and welcome to this special edition of ODI Global's In Conversation. I'm really honored to be hosted today at the Embassy of the Republic of North Macedonia here in London and to be joined by His Excellency Timcho Mucunski, who is the country's newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Minister, you have an incredible bio. We were just discussing, you bring a really rich blend of academic depth and public leadership to this role. The minister serves as an associate professor at Justinianus Primus Faculty of Law at the San Cyrillus and Methodius University in Skopje, where you teach Roman law and rhetoric, corporate ethics. You've been writing quite a lot of books, publishing in domestic and international journals. You're an academic lent to politics, but your political life has also been quite extraordinary. You've been deeply engaged in all sorts of areas of public life, serving as Deputy Minister for Information, Society and Administration, as a Member of Parliament, Chair of the Parliamentary Committee on Financing and Budget, and most recently as the Mayor of the Aerodrome Municipality in Skopje. Now you are the Foreign Minister, appointed at the end of the year, well, June last year, right? The reason we're here to have this timely conversation is because in a few months, the UK will co-host with Germany the Berlin Process Summit here in London. This summit brings together all the six Western Balkan countries and some key European partners to really try and deepen cooperation across security, trade, connectivity, and governance. So as we prepare for this milestone, we thought we would have this fantastic opportunity to have you in London to really to look ahead, discuss not just the summit, really also take your view around the region, where the region is going, what is the future, what is the North Macedonia leadership role in the region, and also how we can really make sure that there is a pathway towards strengthening regional cooperation, enhancing long-term stability, really move towards some shared prosperity in the region. It's obviously a region where there is a lot of reflection on the past, and it's often associated with the memories of what has been, but we want to look forward and think about, what is the strategic foresight while we honor the past, not be bound by it, and really think about the next 30 years. So, Minister, we're really delighted to have you with us at ODI Global. Thanks again for hosting us in your embassy. Let's begin. One thing that struck me as I was preparing for this conversation is that now we have 3 countries in the Western Balkans who are NATO allies. And so the region is becoming really important when it comes to European security. It's really a pillar of European and transatlantic security. And North Macedonia is playing a vital role in this landscape. You're both a NATO member, very trusted regional partner. Of course, the region, and particularly Eastern Europe, is characterized by a lot of geopolitical tensions. So what do you think are the most important steps to really deepen cooperation across the Western Balkans, particularly with neighbors that you have, Kosovo, Albania, Serbia, to try and strengthen the region's collective resilience, given the importance that it has geopolitically for the whole continent?
So first of all, thank you for the invitation to be part of your program. It's a pleasure to have you here at our embassy and to touch on issues that are, as you said, very pressing and very timely. Especially considering, first of all, today's day, when we signed a joint declaration with Foreign Secretary Lamy on the strategic partnership, which I presume we'll have an opportunity to talk about, but also following up on the NATO summit in The Hague, where a lot of very crucial decisions were made about the political security environment that we live in and the challenges that we collectively face. I think touching on a few aspects that you introduced. For us, as a NATO member state and as an EU candidate country, regional stability is of the utmost importance. One of the things I like to say is that we are present in NATO-led or EU-led missions from the Baltics to the Balkans. Most importantly, in our region, we're present in both K4 missions in Kosovo, as well as the EU-led Althea mission in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we primarily, from a NATO membership perspective, see our role in the region as a security provider. We have one of the most politically stable governments in the Western Balkans, but stability also means an obligation, and that is an obligation to export security and to do your share both from a military and diplomatic aspect in providing regional security. We are a nation that cherishes our relationship with the region. We think that there are many opportunities for the region if the region is forward-looking. But we are also a government that is fully aware that there are malign external influences that want to destabilize the region of the Western Balkans. What we have to realize is that in the 21st century, in the era in which we live, not all wars are fought with tanks. There is now unconventional warfare through misinformation, using methods in the cybersphere and so forth. And we need to invest in our resilience. And we also need to invest in our education of younger generations, because this needs to be a multifaceted and whole of society approach to face the challenges that we have collectively as a region. It's a pleasure to be in the United Kingdom. You mentioned the Berlin process, and the Berlin process is seen as probably the key regional initiative, although there are many regional initiatives that are active. We support all of them, we engage in all of them, but we see the Berlin process as a key one, especially last year under German leadership when CEFTA was unblocked, which is a key regional trade initiative and agreement. So in that sense, we would want to use the Berlin process to move forward on many aspects that are key to our region. In the next few months, within the framework of the Berlin process, we will be hosting a digital summit in Skopje, and digitalization is one of these key areas where I know the UK government and our European partners are focusing on. Thus, we need to use the upcoming months and years to move our region forward towards full integration, towards a stronger level of stability that provides the best preconditions possible for our citizens.
So you mentioned digitalization, clearly that must be a priority, but are there other priorities for you going towards the Berlin Process Summit? What does success look like for you for this summit?
Success, we can only measure through tangible results. And as I said, tangible results are results that are felt by all spheres of society, whether it's business, through various different green lanes and trade routes being opening, where it's digitalization in the field of cybersecurity, but also offering better services to our citizens, bringing our companies together, communication and expertise in areas such as environment, which are equally important. So I think there is a whole set of initiatives that exist, but the more tangible they are, the more they are felt by our citizens. We remove ourselves from nice photo opportunities at summits and use those summits as an opportunity to bring forward actual change. And I mentioned, for example, at the last summit that happened in Germany, how the unblocking of CEFTA prior to that was a successful, tangible that came out of it, which is felt by our companies and businesses within the whole region. Thus, I have the feeling that the very strong initiative by the UK government, as well as our European partners, will also make the upcoming events here in the United Kingdom, the various different ministerial forums, as well as the high-level summit that will happen in October, to be equally, if not even more successful than what happened last year.
Great. So obviously the summit will be hosted by the UK this time. Is there anything the UK you expect them could do to help really deliver some these tangible results?
Yes. I mean, there's many things we have in the pipeline, but I think what the UK is doing is sending a very strong political message. As we all know, the United Kingdom is not a member of the European Union anymore, but that doesn't mean that the United Kingdom isn't invested in Europe as a whole. And I think symbolically, but also through the tangible things that we have in the pipeline, the strong message being sent from London is something that the whole region appreciates very much. The very active engagement by both Prime Minister Starmer, Foreign Secretary Lamy as well. The fact that the Foreign Secretary has been engaged in some security issues and regional stability. The fact that, as he told me today, he plans on visiting, hopefully, the region in the autumn. These are all strong political messages that are of a very high level of significance for us.
Yeah, and I think it's significant that is co-hosted, Germany as a key member of the EU and the UK. One of the key issues, as I was saying before, is that still today, even though it's been almost like 30 years, from the end of the war, the Western Balkans are seeing through the lens of the past. But, the region is evolving. We have a new generation of policymakers, of entrepreneurs, of citizens that are really working to develop a more inclusive, forward-looking futures. What role can North Macedonia play in help reframe the history of the region, really move from, remembrance to renewal? Just last week, there was quite a lot of attention here to the 30 years of the massacre in Srebrenica, the genocide. But really, how can North Macedonia lead efforts to build unity, foster reconciliation, strengthen the democratic resilience of the region?
No, I think for all of us, and I say this looking at it from the regional perspective, not just from the national perspective on our side, we need to show that the Western Balkans has evolved, as you said, from an area of Europe which was seen as a factor of destabilization, where many wars were waged, sadly, many lives lost, many families torn apart, to a region that produces economic input, which is now host to many successful multinational companies, including from the United Kingdom, but as well as many European countries, which are producing in great facilities in our countries, doing research and development. Many great startups in the area of innovation, ICT, even artificial intelligence, to also being nations that are active members of the NATO alliance, doing their role in providing global stability, active in peacekeeping operations. We need to be seen as a region, as exporters of peace, rather than a region that necessitates foreign mediation to solve conflicts. And we need to use our experiences to help move global society forward. And I think there are wonderful examples coming from individuals, coming from businesses, coming from very successful individuals, whether they're in academia or the think tank society, to show that this is a region where young generations are taking over. We have a lot more to do as a region in areas such as good governance and fighting corruption. But I think, I speak for my country, where I tell you we are a government that is strongly committed to these issues, to prove that we can be now labeled as not just a regional, but hopefully very soon as a European success story when it comes to creating a hospitable business environment, economic advancement areas such as good governance, rule of law, a whole of society approach focused on progressive, forward-looking reforms.
And of course, this is a region also where a lot of young people live. I've visited a number of the countries in the Western Balkans. I'm struck by, compared to the rest of Europe, that's where the vibrancy of youth is very palpable. Europe is a continent with many countries that have an aging population, but countries like also North Macedonia have got really young, young population. What is your long-term vision, for the young citizens that you have? In 30 years' time, where would you like to see North Macedonia and the whole region be?
We have a lot of great, successful young people in the country. Sadly, we also have a lot of great, successful young people that have emigrated from the country. So I think one of the key priorities is to establish a system of public works where young people feel that the state is not just working for them, but is their partner in everything that they do. And that will help us keep the great young people we have that you've seen in our wonderful country, but also will persuade some of those young people that have moved abroad and are very successful, whether they're in the United Kingdom, whether they're in Germany and the United States, to come back, to invest, and to be part of the great story we're building together. Sadly, we also face demographic challenges, and we need to put a priority on this, and our government is also focusing on this issue, building families, building strong families that want the nation to succeed. And in that sense, 30 years forward, I want my nation to be a nation that is a reliable partner in NATO, a full-fledged member of the European Union, where good governance thrives. Of course, nowhere is ever ideal. We as humans always strive for the better, always strive for advancement, which is natural, which is very normal. But we need to be a pioneer in technological advancement and move forward in the reality of the 21st century. And if we achieve this foreign policy goal of full EU membership, and if we truly inherently focus on good governance, not just in rhetoric, but in practice and in words, have a functional public administration, a system where pollution is an issue of the past, focusing on the environment, focusing on investment in education and healthcare, and moving forward and modernizing our societies, then we will have created a success. This is an obligation of my generation in politics, but not only those in politics. Moving a society forward, focusing on politics is an area where we all need to give our input and contribution to.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, misinformation, disinformation. Young citizens are digital natives, and they are exposed to a lot of misinformation, disinformation online. How are you trying to counter that?
So we spoke about this at another event I have this morning. You can't fully remove misinformation and disinformation. This is an issue that has existed in the past, even without social media being where it is. There are still many people, even around the globe, that believe in various conspiracy theories, which are sometimes even stimulated more often than not through social media channels. But I think the best way by which we can counter in the long term misinformation and the manipulation of our peoples, especially by external malign actors, is to invest in the education of young people on issues such as media literacy, on issues such as combating fake news and disinformation. We need to educate young people so that they can identify what is right, what is wrong, what is truth, what is a lie. We cannot fully root out, and hypothetically, we will probably never be able to fully root out fake news and manipulation. But if we invest in young people understanding the differences, then I think this is the strongest measure that we can take, apart from the conventional measures that all governments take, especially we as NATO member states, in the strategic communications that we have, in the engagement that we have, in the measures that we take to combat disinformation.
Great. I mean, you said before, North Macedonia is a strong NATO ally. You obviously have the ambition to become an EU member. How do you see the role of the country on the wider global stage? There is a lot of global processes that North Macedonia, like many other Western Balkan countries, engaged in. What's your vision for that?
So I personally believe in multilateralism. I think multilateralism is a great tool. As I said, primarily we're focused on being a stable regional actor, and that isn't just in the area of political security issues, but here I mean economy and trade. We are the only country that intersects Corridors 8 and Corridor 10, which are key regional and also European corridors, and we're doing a lot of investment in both corridors. We are investing in a new interconnector. We initiated the working last week on an interconnector that connects us with Greece and giving us access to the LNG coming from the port of Alexandroupolis. We hope to be investing very soon in a new interconnector with Serbia, which will have that gas not only coming in towards us, but also moving towards us, transiting towards Central and Eastern Europe and providing a new alternative to Russian gas. So in that sense, we want to be a factor of economic and trade stability for our region and for the European continent as well. Externally, we're engaging in all issues on a multilateral forum. We're a member of the UN Human Rights Council, a mandate that we started a few months ago for the next few years. We're a proponent of finding peace on all global issues, but also supporting the strategic values of the alliance. As I like to sometimes point out, our foreign policy has three key postulates. That is being a credible member of the NATO alliance, our 100% alignment with the EU's common foreign and security policy. I like to point out that we were the first country in the Western Balkans to sign a security and defense partnership with the European Union. I signed this at the beginning of my mandate last year. And the third postulate is our strategic partnership with the United States. And within this framework, we will be a reliable and credible partner for all of our strategic partners, not just in our bilateral relationships, not just in the organizations which we are active in, but also on the wide-scale multilateral forum, including the United Nations.
Great. I mean, you mentioned the agreements you've signed. You also signed a government-to-government agreement with the United Kingdom a couple of months ago to implement some major infrastructure projects in key sectors, even healthcare, railways, education, green energy. What does this agreement mean for North Macedonia?
So we have two very important agreements. The first one and the key one in the area of political security issues is the one that I signed today with Foreign Secretary Lamy, the declaration of a strategic partnership. A while ago, we also signed a government-to-government agreement, which is equally important in the area of investments in infrastructure. What we are doing now with the United Kingdom, we see as a very strategic outlook for our country, but also for the UK, its citizens, and its government. We're focused on mutual investments in areas such as infrastructure, primarily here I mentioned Corridor 10 and the rail aspect of Corridor 10, investments in healthcare, but also further investments in areas such as digitalization, in areas such as defense industry, where defense industrialization will be a key aspect, considering that NATO spending has gone up to 5%, and this will be a key component of our collaboration, but also other areas where we see avenues of communication that we could spur forward. This is a relationship that envisages commitment on both sides. We are very happy that the United Kingdom has recognized our government's commitment to mutual and shared values. And we put the significance of this strategic relationship at one of the highest priorities of both our foreign policy, but also many of the domestic policy challenges that we face.
So this declaration for strategic partnership that you have signed today with the Foreign Secretary, it's quite an important milestone. How do you expect this agreement to impact bilateral relations between the two countries? And why has the UK chosen to sign this agreement at this point in time?
So I can't answer to why the UK has chosen. This is a question you can ask Secretary Lamy or the Foreign Office. But what I can tell you is that from our perspective, we see the United Kingdom as more than just a like-minded country. As I said, a nation with which we share values, and a nation that has always been a security contributor to the stability of the Western Balkans. If you look at the history of the Western Balkans in the past 30, 40, maybe even a longer time period. And we are very happy that this relationship has gone beyond the political aspect in areas such as common investments, economy, trade. We have a good trade relationship, which can also get better. And we want opportunities for our companies in the United Kingdom, but very much so for the companies from the United Kingdom to come to our country and our region. What I can tell the people of the United Kingdom that are watching this interview is that the Macedonian government wants to work together. There are a lot of shared values and shared projects which will bring very strong benefits to both countries and to all of our businesses and all of our peoples.
Mr. Mucunski, it's been an absolute pleasure to hear your vision about the future of North Macedonia, of the Western Balkans, the role that North Macedonia is playing in the region. I hope we can welcome you back to ODI Global in our new premises when you come back from the Berlin Process Summit. We can then reflect on how the summit has gone and what we can expect to continue to see the stability and resilience building up in the Western Balkans region and North Macedonia in particular.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and allow me also to invite you to visit our wonderful country and our wonderful cities, where hopefully you will be able to see on the ground the great work that our government is doing together with all of our society.
With absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.